evening. Welcome to the Billy Wilder Theater, home of the public programs for the UCLA Film and Television Archive. My name is May HaDuong, and I am the director of the UCLA Film and Television Archive. Welcome to Food and Film. Before we begin, as a land-grant institution, the Film and Television Archive at UCLA would like to acknowledge our presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Gabrielino and Tongva peoples. We are humbled to do work in this community. And this work, bringing film and conversation to the Wilder, is only possible through the incredible work of many individuals and organizations that have helped make tonight's screening possible. All of the archive screenings in the Wilder are free thanks to a gift from an anonymous donor, and we're grateful for their support. And this event would not have been possible without our partners in curation, execution, and presentation. I'd like to give out a special thanks to our partners at the Hammer Museum, of course, including Claudia Bester and Michael Harrison. Of course, thanks to them. I stand here representing the archive, but there are exceptional archive staff involved in this weekend's screenings, including Paul Malcolm, Amanda Salazar, and Lauren Brown. Are Paul and Amanda in the theater? Hi, here they are. Paul and Amanda have been, incredible in working with Lulu and the Hammer on putting this together, and I just want to thank them for all their tremendous work. Please thank all of these amazing individuals and our supporters and give them a round of applause. The Food and Film series started as an idea around a dinner table. The passionate Alice Waters struck up a conversation with senior public programmer Paul Malcolm about film and how it is important to her life's work. And so here we are, months later, a synergetic collaboration between the Hammer, Lulu, and the Archive, celebrating the inaugural Food and Film program for what we hope is just the beginning of an ongoing series. The three films that are screening over the next 2 days are connected by the land, community, and people that come together under fig trees and on farms. We hope that this communal experience of watching a film together, paired with conversation, can move us beyond the screen and continue dialogue outside of the cinema. These conversations are in many ways in discourse with initiatives taking place here on campus at UCLA. Last year, UCLA launched the UCLA Rothman Family Institute for Food Studies, an interdisciplinary institute devoted to research, teaching, and policy about food. I am proud of the work taking place today in the theater and year-round on campus to advance our understanding of the role of food in our lives. So we are thrilled to open the evening with this conversation and inquiry into the connection to land, our responsibility to it, and our community, and the ways in which food connects us. Following this conversation, we will then screen Marcel Pagnol's 1937 film, Harvest. And now I would like to let you know who will be joining us on stage for our panel. So, starting with our moderator, Laurie Ochoa is General Manager of Food at the Los Angeles Times. Until last year, she was the Deputy Editor of the Entertainment and Arts at the Times. She won 2 James Beard Awards for her food writing and the cookbook she co-wrote, Nancy Silverton's Breads from the La Brea Bakery. She was nominated for an IACP Julia Child Cookbook Award and a James Beard Cookbook Award. David Tanis has worked as a professional chef in his entire life. He's collaborated with Alice Waters over 4 decades, both at Chez Panelist restaurant in Berkeley, California, and around the world. He is the author of 4 acclaimed cookbooks, and for the last 12 years, he's written a syndicated column for the food section of the New York Times. Tanis is the chef of Lulu. Alex Weiser has based his life around organic farming and sustainable agriculture for more than 40 years. His family company, Weiser Family Farms, has been in operation since 1977 and is one of the legacy vendors of the Santa Monica Farmers Market, one of the most influential farmers markets in the U.S. And finally, the co-curator of this series and a guest that might not need an introduction, but I will offer one as we prepare for the conversation, Alice Waters. Alice Waters is a chef, author, food activist, and founder of Chez Panelist restaurant in Berkeley, California. She's been a champion of local organic agriculture for over 4 decades. In 1995, she founded the Edible Schoolyard Project at Berkeley's Martin Luther King Jr. Middle School. The program uses an organic garden and on-site kitchen classroom to teach all academic subjects. The Edible Schoolyard Project model has been replicated in over 6,000 schools around the world. It's pretty amazing. In 2015, Alice was awarded the National Humanities Medal by President Obama, proving that eating is a political act. In 2021, she was awarded the inaugural Carver Carson Award for American Innovation in Environmental Protection and Agriculture from the Henry Ford Museum. Alice is the author of 16 books, including her latest, We Are What We Eat, a Slow Food Manifesto. Most recently, UC Davis has asked Alice Waters to create an institute for regenerative agriculture and edible education at the Aggie Square campus in downtown Sacramento. The institute will bring together food and agricultural leaders and innovators from around the world to address climate change and public health through the procurement of regenerative food in schools. Please join me in welcoming this amazing panel to the stage to say, and share some words on food and also film. So welcome Laurie Ochoa, Alice Waters, David Tanis, and Alex Weiser to the stage.
Hello guys, hello everyone. You are very lucky because you have 3 fabulous people here to talk. And thank you. And some of you I know had the dinner that David and I think Alice, you probably had a hand in putting together, inspired by this. A wonderful menu. Thank you for that. I thought we should start, though, with just kind of a baseline. I know some of you must know Pagnol's Marseille trilogy. I think Harvest is a less well-known film of his. But I thought, we should first talk, of course, Chez Panelist, your daughter Fanny, César, all kind of emerged out of the Marseille trilogy. And I think, I was talking with the chef Massimo Bottura about how art kind of shaped his cooking, but film seems to have shaped your restaurants. So maybe you could first talk to us a little bit about why Pagnol, why Panelist, and Fanny, etc.
Well, I was very lucky to meet Tom Luddy, who started the Telluride Film Festival almost 50 years ago when I started Chez Panelist. And he was my best friend. And very sadly, he died in the fall of this year. But I cannot tell you what he gave to me. I really can't, because he not only brought people, everyone he could imagine, to Chez Panelist for dinner, but he really made sure that I saw all the films that he thought were important around the world. And so it was very early on when I was thinking about opening a restaurant that he took me to see the Pagnol trilogy at the Surf Theater way out there in San Francisco. And we were probably 2 of about 20 people in that theater at that time. And I just really resonated with what was on the screen about people who lived in Marseille and it was during the 30s when people were moving from the country to the city. And he knew that they were leaving their values of the land and their connection to it behind. And how were they going to live in the city together? How were they going to keep that connection if they didn't have their place in nature? And so I don't know, there was something so poignant about that. And I was just thinking about opening the restaurant, and Tom, of course, was trying to influence me with the name of the restaurant. And I thought, well, it could be Chez Fanny. And he said, oh, no, it should be Tanis, because Tanis was the older man who, when Fanny got pregnant with her love, who went out to sea, that he was willing to marry her to keep her honor. And Tom reminded me he was the only person in the film that made any money. And maybe I should think about that.
You actually had a salad, I remember, that didn't you have a salad that you lost money on for years and years?
I'm sure. I'm sure, but it's very important to me that, I never started the restaurant because I wanted to make money. That was sort of the last thing on my mind. I wanted a place for my friends to eat, and I wanted it in a house so they felt like they were coming for dinner at home. And so we only had one menu. And so that menu had to be really good or they wouldn't come back. And I can't believe that here we are 52 years later with one menu. And I have to say that menu was good because we were buying food. I was looking for taste. I wasn't looking for organic farmers like yourself. I was looking for the food that tasted like the food I had eaten in France in 1965. And it was when France was a slow food nation. I always say that I was in Paris. They didn't have any olive oil. It was about butter. Olive oil was the south of France. That was too far. We only ate food within the north. And that's really important to think about because here we are. It's been only 60 or 70 years, and we are importing food from around the world. We are not eating the food that is local and ripe and tastes divine. And I wrote that book, We Are What We Eat, because I wanted to know how this changed our lives so profoundly that we've even lost our democracy. And so I really went into it deeply. And I realized that we were not only eating fast food, but we were eating the values that came with the fast food. More is better. Time is money. I want whatever I want, whenever I want it. And I don't care where it comes from. I just want it. And it's okay to eat in your car. And everything should be fast, cheap, and easy. And that is something that has never been true since the beginning of civilization. We have always prioritized food and farming and family at the table, always. And all of a sudden, it's unimportant.
And David, you cooked with Alice, but then you also were lucky enough that you returned from France and came here to Los Angeles. And I think that one of the most exciting things you do at Lulu are those menus. I mean, not everything is you have other things. Not every night is a single menu. But can you talk a bit about the environment at Chez Panelist and what you took away, and then if you had any connection to these films and yourself?
That's an easy one. Right? Forgot about the mic. That's an easy question. Thank you. I don't know exactly, but of course we share a lot of the same values as. I mean, we're just kind of a sprout, It's an offshoot of Chez Panelist in so many ways. It's a different way to run a restaurant, and it's a different way to approach menu making. For me, it's always been the most wonderful thing to be able to work with a farmer and see what was in the field, and then make the menu based on that. And that's always been my real focus. And now in LA, pretty much at the farmer's market 3 or 4 times a week, and those are the people we buy from, the people that we know, and the people we know the quality, and there's that human exchange. What was the question?
You're getting at it. I noticed you put olive oil. You had an olive oil cake, which to Alice's point is more in the South. So is that something you thought about?
Oh yes, of course. I mean, we were trying to sort of match up with the movie a bit, and of course, in the South it's olive oil, and in fact, aioli at one point was called le beurre de Provence, as the butter, because they didn't use butter down there. They only used olive oil, and of course, a lot of garlic and herbs, and just all the fresh Mediterranean vegetables. It's a different kind of feel down there than it is like, Paris and in the north. And what was interesting watching this particular film this time, I don't know whether I noticed it with so many of the other Pagnol films, but in this particular film, they had the strongest Provençal accent you ever heard. It's just like crazy.
That's cool. Alex, you in this film, a plow figures in a very big way. I wonder,
I haven't seen the film yet, so
Well, you
I'll see that. Look forward to it.
And I do think there is this relationship that I think started a lot with you, Alice, but then a lot of chefs who care about cooking. I mean, that kind of supports a different kind of farming that's not just the commercial things. You have so many varieties of potatoes, melons, other things. Can you talk a bit about your relationship with chefs, how that's changed over the years, and what you see going forward with Alice talks about all of us.
Yeah.
I can't.
In California here, I mean, we can grow so many things, and for me as a grower, there's always something new to grow and discover and rediscover. So it just never ends, the discovery there's so many. We can grow year round here in California. There's so many different varietals. I love working with breeders and searching for flavor and taste and something that just separates one vegetable. Not every potato is the same. There's different textures, there's different applications. So we have that communication with the chefs and what their goal is or what they're trying to make. And sometimes I grow for what they're after, and sometimes we're growing something that they just, this is what you have, this is what we'll make from it. So it's a two-way street. Sometimes I'm following their lead, sometimes they're following my lead. And generally, we just try to grow what we can grow best for our property and for the time of year, grow seasonal produce at its best and pick it right.
But wasn't it more difficult in the beginning to get people to be, to support, and make money at this stuff?
Oh, oh yeah. Very, very difficult. Yeah, that's my dad's. Our success is our survival, because when we first started farming, and when I was joining, it was really my parents' retirement farming. My dad was a school teacher, always wanted to be a farmer. We're always looking at land and we're gonna farm. I was the youngest child, so when we got into growing food, it was a very conventional world. It wasn't about flavor. It was about pack out, yield. This is the time of year you want to have that crop out. There was no farmers markets. It was just about market and price. Flavor was not an option. That was not even part of the equation, what something tastes like. It was just going after a commodity price. But it was really because of the farmers markets and meeting the end user and meeting the chefs, meeting the consumer who, instead of you work with brokers. They're, oh, your apples are pink. You're going to get $1 less an apple, for these apples. Washingtons are red, or just something always negative. And you were at the bottom of the food chain. Getting paid was another difficult thing. So it was really the farmers markets that kept our family business alive and solvent, and they had created cash flow. And then we got to learn and because farming, you don't just start off growing something and become successful at it right away. You'll make mistakes. You have to think about the next year, what I'm going to do differently next year. So the farmers markets really give you the opportunity to do trial and error, get the feedback from your customer, and the connection you have with your customer is so special.
Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah.
I see you wanted to.
Well, I just have to say, because I'm so sure that we need to support the farmer completely without a middleman, without a Cisco. that we have to connect directly. And this happened early on at Chez Panelist with our farmer, and he happened to be a regenerative organic farmer, Bob Kennard, way back in 45 years ago. And he taught us so much. We bought directly from him. So we wanted to use everything he grew. And he couldn't believe that he could be paid the real cost of what it was to farm and to take care of the farm workers. And so that, because I don't know whether you know, but when farmers grow food, even for Whole Foods, they have to sell it wholesale to Whole Foods, who sells it then to all of us at retail price. But when you buy directly at a farmer's market, you're giving that person all the money. But I'm really feeling like the school system could be that economic engine to buy food directly from the people who are growing it and ranching. And it's not only the only delicious solution for climate, but it's the only way that we're going to support people like you to continue to find varietals and really think about what grows best when it gets hot and when it gets cold. We need that relationship. I mean, we couldn't cook if the farmer wasn't providing the food. that is picked ripe. You cannot have food from other countries shipped in because